External development requires strong communication skills, clarity of design, and empathy for both the people doing the work and the people that are requesting the work.
I think that's the beauty of game development, in my opinion. It's like there's once you go into like the creative, smaller size studios, there's a lot more variance of what is good enough.
Of course, everybody wants to make a living, but what's your ultimate goal for your project? All right, well, welcome to Brain Arcade. Jan is here. He's going to introduce himself right now and tell me a little bit about what he does.
Yeah, my name is Jan. So I Janyl for full, but like you call me Jan. So I do external development. I've been in games for like 7 years, I guess. 4 years and like 5 months, I guess 6 months have been like into external development, basically.
Got it. Okay, so wait, what was your first job in games?
Actually, came in as indie. I went as indie. I went as a Unity intern, doing part-time narrative designer, and then like multiple hats in an indie studio.
Yeah, sure. So was it a one-man studio? Did you have other teammates?
We were up to 10 people.
Wow.
From 4 to 5 to 10. And then like slowly like whittle down to like 5 to 3. You know the whole story about
of course.
You have this cool idea. Unfortunately, the cool idea doesn't like keep the lights on. So,
right.
Yeah.
At least not yet. I'm hoping that we can flip that equation sometime in the future. Okay, so then you got into external development, and so I'm assuming you work for a specific company now, or are you freelance contract working with external development?
I used to work with a previous company, Secret 6. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Okay, I've heard of Secret 6. Yeah. So wait, so you're not working with them now? Who do you work?
Oh, right now I'm like a contractor. I'm freelance right now.
Oh, okay. So as a contractor, you're helping with external development. I'm assuming you're doing a lot of production style work.
Yeah, I'm still a producer up to this day.
Okay, are you keeping up with your indie dreams? Are you still making stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm still keeping up. Basically, like that's why I got into like external development from indie. Was like, hey, these are a lot of things I didn't know. So I need to get this experience somewhere. So the closest here was like external development, see what other studios doing, what can I do for other people, and learn from that.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm trying to apply here and there for a small indie project, but like slowly figuring out because it's still not the same 1:1 what external development is to like indie. So,
got it. So like I said earlier, like the two things that I emphasize, first of all, I'm very game design oriented. The two things that I emphasize the most is empathy, not only for the player, but for your teammates. And then the other one is communication, which ties together with empathy because clear communication is really the best way to take care of your teammates, right? So give me an idea of a day-to-day for you as far as like what you're doing, what size the team is, what the communication process is.
Actually, it varies from whichever project. Like actively, like there's the project could be as small as like, hey, we're 3 people and there's like two engineers I just have to manage. But there's also projects where like, hey, there's like 10, 20 artists, which is like a lot different from like handling engineers. It varies really. The communication, like if you have a team of engineers, you can do like, hey, let's meet every day. We need an update. What's the bugs and things like that. But you can't do the same with artists because, hey, especially if it's a 3D art project, they go through like the full process of like, you can't just like come in like tomorrow, like, hey, so what are you doing today? I'm still doing like the high poly. Or like the next day, it's like, yeah, we're still doing the high poly. It doesn't work the same way as like engineering. Like, yeah, I fixed this bug. Or the next day, like, oh, I fixed the bug. It caused another bug. So now we have to fix that again.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that makes sense to me. So would you say that's the biggest difference between communicating with artists and engineers is just the time scale? Because art tests do take more time for some things than like, engineering is different because you can task it out like large tasks or small tasks. But like something like rigging or 3D, like high poly modeling takes longer, right?
Yep, exactly. I mean, once you add in even like other layers like VFX, animation, and like basically it makes the pipeline a lot longer. And also like the partner doesn't like it like late in the pipeline. You kind of have to go back to the beginning and hey, it's not just like, hey, can I change this again? Yeah, we can't change the model at this point, or you're expecting us to do 2 weeks of work all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, oh wait, so you're in the Philippines?
Yeah, I'm in the Philippines. I'm in the Philippines.
Well, so do you mostly work with Southeast Asian companies, or do you work across the international date line too, like with the United States?
Yeah, no, usually Pacific time, Eastern time. And
Okay.
usually it's like Western studios. Yeah.
So back in my day, we used to call it outsourcing, right?
Yeah.
And now it's external development. So would you say that that's more accurate, external development? Because it sounds like you're running engineers too. Like when outsourcing first became an option, and I have to tell you, like we're talking back like Y2K. Like it was basically early 2000s was the first time I ever ran into the idea that somebody could outsource something. And that we tried it like probably 2000, 2001. It was very different, right? The skills were totally different. The global nature of video games was not as widespread as it is now. And so the one thing that I found, and you can tell me how it's changed over the years, was you had to be very specific in your documentation because you had to communicate what you wanted very clearly or else the results could vary. How important is documentation in your day-to-day?
I think it's still very important. Like I guess similar to before, because I think a lot of like the outsourcer cell development back then was like focused on art assets, and art
Uh-huh.
assets need to be really specific with poly count sizes that you could like model like a chair, and then you have the wrong model reference, and your chair is I know 10 times bigger than the player character, and like I think that doesn't work out that well.
Uh-huh.
I mean
Uh-huh.
that has happened. So and like it throughout experience we're like, yeah, this is why we have to be very specific. Or somebody makes a bush and like it looks really great, but like nothing was on the brief mentioning it was for a console. Like
Uh-huh.
for the Switch, for example, and like it runs perfect on PC.
Right.
It does not run the same
On
way
right on Switch. Right.
you're right on Switch. But what's changed now is basically experience, I guess. Because especially like here in the Philippines, game development is still really growing. It's still like an emerging market. Like
Uh-huh.
we don't have the same history or starting point as the West or even like Japan or the Eastern parts.
Right.
So a lot of it's really as we grow, have more experience here from just
Uh-huh.
prop assets to even hero assets, right? To even like full scenes, and that's something that's a trust that's like built over the years as project to project. And I think that's why the shift from calling it just outsourcing to external development kind of like happened over the
Uh-huh.
years, because there's a growth not just in experience and quality of the work but also the trust, because trust doesn't just happen. Like I can't just like, hey, can you make this entire level, trusting them to follow the
Right.
vision you have. Like
Right.
I
Right.
think
Right.
that's hard to do.
Sure, I agree. And you have to build a relationship basically. And so
Hmm.
like you start with small things and build up to larger things, right? Like the
Yeah.
the so as of for instance for scale, we outsourced weapons, one of the Medal of Honors, and like the briefs were very vague, very specific, not very specific. And so we ended up getting them back in lots of very different scales and also units of measure. And they were going to be used
Yeah.
in an Unreal project. Sorry, no, we were using 3D Studio Max back then. So we got back like something in inches. We got a couple things in meters. We got another thing in centimeters. And so like basically we had all these different sized weapons. And it was like, oh my God, we had to send it all back and write a very specific brief. And so I started saying at that time, external development, you get back what you put into it, right? It's like
Mhm.
there is some cost and time savings, but you have to put work into external development so that you actually create a partner, not just like it's not a machine. You have to basically start to build a relationship with your external developers, or else you don't end up. Well, you can have varying results, right? So, like, I
Exactly.
always prefer like to start building those relationships on day one because communication is such a key that like it's not just write a document and send it, right? It's more like,
Yeah.
okay, let's meet, let me explain it to you. Is this clear language? Also, everybody's language skills are different. And so it's basically like, I need to verify that my work is actually super clear, right? Or I've actually done this before where I'll start to create the relationship and I go, oh, okay, actually, I won't create the document, but I'll give you the target. You create the document and then I'll review it. And then that way, like it's in the language that you think is going to work best with your team. And I find that that works pretty well. It just depends on who's working on what, right?
Exactly. I think the other thing too is also really just setting expectations. Because like
Uh-huh.
one thing, like, because there are like, as I mean, we were like with different studios before. I mean, like 4.5 years, through like almost like half a decade is
Mhm.
there, where there are some partners who are just like, give me like this specific asset, really specific, thorough documentation, this specific like sizes, and we follow it to the letter, and it's a lot more straightforward. Have a turnaround rate of 3 to 4 days, a day,
Uh-huh.
1 2 days of feedback. It's very cookie cutter and like very specific, so it's easier to track. Well, some partners go like, we share ownership with you and we expect you guys to basically, here's the brief, here's the guide, but we expect you guys to solve it yourselves, find your own solution, as long as this is the expected output that we are expecting from you guys. And it's a lot more trust, a lot more like
Uh-huh.
ownership being shared to like the external team. And that's the part where it's a growing process, because like for us it's also a cultural difference where we are
Uh-huh.
very used to being given specific instructions. Then once you start giving like, oh, now you have to decide things, you have to hit this quality bar, but you have to figure out the steps between hitting that quality bar.
Right, like what the
Yeah.
original job is versus what the quality bar is, and like you know. So, are you finding that that changes from job to job? Sometimes, like alpha quality is different from, you know what I mean, like first deliverable and then feedback loops. Or it depends on the project or the partner.
Yeah, it depends on the project, depends on the partner as well. Because some partners are very specific,
Uh-huh.
especially in bigger scale projects where they are kind of used to like handling 300, 400 plus developers. But if you're working with a smaller team, like 20, 30 people, and the discussions turn into like, can we hop on a call? Can we discuss the latest work? And
Uh-huh.
does this look good enough? And we are stuck discussing 5 to 10 minutes of what do you mean by good enough? What are your metrics?
Right.
And the discussion, like, I think that's the beauty of game development, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's like there's the once you go into like the creative, smaller size studios, there's a
Yeah.
lot more variance of what is good enough, because it's like a, what does
Yeah.
the player want? What is good
Yeah.
enough for the player?
Right, right, right. Well, also when you have larger teams, there's more specialists, and so they could be like, no, we just need it to like alpha quality or beta quality or rough.
Yeah.
And so like just finish the rough, and then we'll have some people on our side do some work on it. But then you know, for a smaller team, it might be like, no, we need a delivered finished asset. But I think like a good tactic for you, and you probably already do this in some way because you already said like, you know, getting some clarification. A great tactic is actually asking lots of questions. I call it like active listening. Like, okay, you said good enough. What does that mean? Right. And like, it's really great if you can tie that to like trackable metrics or deliverables, not a subjective thing, because it's really important, because that can also mean whether or not you get paid. And so like these definitions are super important to like work out ahead of time, because if you can, you put these things in the contract, or at least into the deliverables that need to get approved. Because if it's too subjective on the other side, you could get like, it's not approved. And you're like, well, why? We did what you told us, and it's great to have it in writing, right? Like you said, this is what it is 2 months ago, and this is what you're getting. So do you get into those like kinds of arguments with the clients at all, or?
Yeah, no, I think one is especially because especially the programming side, like what is a critical bug? What is what is a showstopper? Like,
Mm-hmm.
as if those aren't clearly defined. Like if they say, if this one really comes into like the post-launch
Right.
bug fixing. What do you mean by post-launch support? Like there's a time where it wasn't clearly defined, and
Uh-huh.
like the learning from that, we should really define when we say post-launch support, it means critical bug fixing, and what is critical to us and to
Right.
them, and ensure that's aligned.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, absolutely. So actually, let me take a quick aside, just because not everybody
sure.
that listens to the podcast makes games. So I mentioned alpha a couple times, and we haven't said beta, but we said post-launch. And so like these phases exist even if people don't call them out. But alpha typically means, well, sorry, I'll stay up here. There is a process to finishing a game. And that
Yeah.
process has multiple steps, and those steps are defined. And we typically call them alpha, beta, polish, launch, post launch. And so like alpha usually means something like everything is functional, the art is not, you know, 80 to 90%, not 100%, like, but basically there's time for polish, but main features are generally done. Beta usually means that okay, everything is in, including art, but now you have time to like polish all the rough edges off, which puts you into the polish phase or pre-launch. And then launch is defined by like you said it, like no showstoppers or critical
Yeah.
bugs. And so like typically showstoppers or critical bugs are defined by a crash or something that stops progression, right? It doesn't have to be a crash, but it could be something like, oh, the player is walking down the hallway and the ceiling collapses and they were supposed to be on the other side, but they can't move any farther. And so it's like basically that's a showstopper.
Exactly.
And then post launch, I really missed the PlayStation 1 because the PlayStation 1 didn't have a modem. So like when you went to launch was it. Went out clean.
Yeah.
But now everybody starts to push things too much into post launch because they know they can patch it later. Right.
Yeah.
But post launch is like critical fixes that didn't make it into the shipping game. And then for games that have like, I'll just call it downloadable content or update content or like, add-on packs or, basically game expansions happen after as well. And that can happen both in a single player game, multiplayer game, a live game. It doesn't matter. But after launch, everything is post launch. So there's the quick definitions. Do you generally agree with my overview?
Yeah, no, I think the only thing I would add there would be like, I remember the days so it's called like they're going gold, and now it's like there's going gold, and now there's like day one patch where like I put in my game and like there are funny things when you first put a cartridge in, if you can like play it without updating it. You should try that first just to see the experience, and then you compare after you download, I guess, half a terabyte or I don't know, half a terabyte of day one patch updates, and you really wonder like, I remember, because I played the PlayStation 1 too, like that time, like, and now it's like I download a game or buy like a disc, like a physical disc, and like, wow, there's a day one patch. I just like loaded this in, it just released it.
Right. Yeah, or day zero. Sometimes there's a day zero patch, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I miss those days. All right, we're gonna divert a little bit because I think this is a little dry for everybody. So just to get the juices flowing and to think about it, I see you wearing a League of Legends shirt. All right, who's your main?
Oh, I guess currently, I mean, I played the game for like 6 years. I say I'm done with the game, and I'm done with PC.
You jump in for a little bit.
I play Wild Rift, and then I played Legends of Runeterra. I know. But yeah.
Okay. So you transferred from LoL to their other products?
Yeah. I mean, I still play now with friends, but like casually. I play Shaco now. I one trick. Like I started a Kale main season 3, the most cookie cutter like Kale build. Then I went to support, then played meta, then went to jungle, then like I just settled with Shaco because at that point I realized I just enjoy for Shaco's champion design is just, it is very bad if like people know what they're doing with the game. If they don't know what they're doing with the game, Shaco is very fun because you see if people make a mistake, that's how Shaco just plays. That's why I just
right. Sure. Oh wait, so you're basically a Shaco jungler.
Top lane.
Top. Okay,
top and jungle, but I like playing him top a lot more because it's a lot more fun to see the interaction.
Right. Yeah, I never got into jungle. It takes too much work. Also, the meta keeps changing. So every season the meta changes, and then you're like, I just learned how to play jungle. I only have so many hours, right? So every season.
Other than that, especially because like I play like with a team like competitively sometimes.
Okay.
It's like babysitting a team. It's babysitting for other, because I went from support to jungle and I realized, so this is why I play this game, because I like looking at the map and like, hey, I wish I was top lane and I would just stick to my lane and like call it a day. Yeah, 1v1 forever.
Right. Yep. That's fun. So my account is still active. I've been playing League of Legends. I haven't played in the last few years as much, like every once in a while, but I've been playing since they had like, I don't know, somewhere closer to 50 champions instead of like, what is it, close to 200 now? Something like that?
I think so. No, I remember back then when the cap was level 30 and now I go in like level 200 people. No, the old mastery pages where I would put one crit chance ruin
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
to think of it, I was like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's like,
No, I remember getting all of my runes and like, all of that stuff. Okay, so let's
yeah,
talk about game design a little bit. I want to switch
sure.
over to you said you were working on an indie project. Did you finish it?
We're still prototyping. We're still prototyping. We're
Okay.
testing. Yeah.
Is it? I mean, what stage are you in? Are you in alpha, beta,
Actually, still
polish?
very early
Oh, very
prototype.
early. Okay.
Yeah, because what we wanted to do was really validate a lot of things, like even from the start, like
Uh-huh.
check with users. Like we're making a small game. It's a visual novel hidden
Uh-huh.
object
Uh-huh.
game,
Yeah.
and it basically it's in full. If it's a full development, it won't take that long. I guess 3 to 6 months, depending on the scope of it.
Okay. Sure.
But validating early on, like, do people actually like this art style? Like, is this actually like,
Uh-huh.
because we wanted to know right before like fully committing to an art style.
So
Yeah.
here's where I try to wrap those two things together. If
Yeah.
you could get an external development partner, what would you do? Like, what would you use? Like, basically, if like, what are the tasks that you would put out to external development, and what are the things that you want to keep internal? And I think this is nice to show this viewpoint because, like, I want to engage your brain as a project leader, right? So, is this your idea, the indie game?
Yeah, it's my idea.
It's
Along
your
with
idea.
me and my artist friend. Like,
Okay.
mine is the visual novel part. She's played every like hidden object game known to, I don't know.
Okay,
Just
got it.
at this point.
Got
But
it.
yeah,
Is it like adventure? Is it horror? Is it mystery? What is it?
psychological horror.
Psychological horror. Okay, I kind of thought you were headed that way. Okay, so well, because visual novel, psychological horror go well together.
At Talus, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Talus, you can secure what matters most. With Talus industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Talus to protect what matters most: applications, data, and identities. That's Talus, T-H-A-L-E-S. Learn more at talusgroup.com/cyber.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
Speaking into the void.
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
You said you're prototyping a bunch of stuff now, and so you're validating art style. So what is that like? When can you stop prototyping and just start building? And then once you get to building, what if you had, like, let's talk about external development. Who would you get to help?
Like,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like if you were making a deal with you.
Yeah, if I was dealing with
Right.
making a deal. But yeah, actually for us it's like we're prototyping, we're validating the art
Mhm.
style, and like once you reach a point, we still have to figure it out. I guess there's the beauty of indie game. Like, we figure it out once we reach a point where we're happy with the art style. We're
Uh-huh.
happy with, like, not even actually the story will probably be kept internally, but it's mainly the hidden object screens for like once
Uh-huh.
we're happy with the art style, the character, because we're keeping it really small, one character, but there's like multiple like hidden object screens.
Okay.
That the hidden object screens will most likely be the one where we'll be looking to push to external development. Because like it's the main asset screen, and our artist has looked at me. Because like she told me like, yeah, let's do a hidden object game, and then she finished one screen, and she's like, we need more artists, because like like she realized she loves playing the game, but now that she's done like an actual hidden object screen by herself, she's like, I think I know why. There's a reason why we don't have that many hidden object screen releases, because
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of asset work, no, especially with
Yeah.
a specific like art style that she wants to do, and that's exactly what we probably want to like to put into external development.
Right. Can you do the equivalent of gray boxing? Like basically go get a bunch of free assets and like actually plan out the rest of the game? Or is it like, I understand picking your art style and you want to stick to it. Because a hidden object game is very dependent on vibe. And vibe comes from the art, and like basically the difficulty of finding or selecting hidden objects really comes from the art, right? Like if you
Exactly.
like finding a frog in grass you have to like be very specific about how like it has to be hidden and feel like satisfying that you found it, but not necessarily so hard. Like if the green matches, you'll never find it, right? And then
Exactly.
then basically you cause frustration instead of like discovery. That's super interesting. So like I'm gonna ask you more about this off camera probably because like like if you need some, if you like I said, I'm more than willing to do any like review or help that you need, because I feel like you can make a lot of progress if you can find a suitable way to like outline the screens in gray box, right? And just get the functionality going.
Exactly. Our artist is like, we need to figure out a way to reuse assets without making it look like we're using assets.
Right.
Exactly. Like, should I just recolor this like a different shade of pink or different shade of blue? And like, will it be that obvious? It's just the same thing, or flip over, or
Sure.
But yeah.
And I know, like, I don't want to lose everybody because we're talking very abstractly about objects and stuff like that. So like, without knowing what the content is, it becomes difficult for people to imagine. This is an audio only podcast, so it's like, we're talking about random stuff. So, so target platform is Steam?
Yeah, our target platform is Steam. Yeah.
Okay, Steam first. See if you get traction, and
see if you get traction. See, figure it out, and or I know. See that even before we get traction, see if like should we really want to make another hidden object game after seeing how much art we actually need to do.
Right.
With my artist, I mean that's one artist.
Right. Well, I mean, there's no rush, right?
There's no rush.
You can take as long as you want. Especially like visual novel.
Yeah,
you could take 3 years, 4 years, or whatever. But like Blueprints took something like 8 years for one guy to do it. So it's just a matter of like stacking those up, which brings us to why you would partner with an external developer, because you want to go faster, and so you want to try and expand your team size. So you're freelance now. How are you finding external development gigs? So basically, are you a producer for hire for external development?
Yeah, producer for hire. And I think it's really mainly just having that strong network beforehand where, I already know these other engineers based here in the Philippines, other artists based in the Philippines. And just like having those same relationships outside. I mean, frequently, I have a lot of friends like in the US, the Europe, and like especially games. I like talking a lot. I like talking a lot. I mean, I like talking a lot, and because like I don't know, not just talking, but like chatting or like joining Discord communities, game there. And I wish I could just fly to Gamescom. I think Gamescom's happening literally
right now. It started today.
Exactly. And having friends in like different places, like, oh, you guys want to set up here in the Philippines, because Philippines is like usually unknown compared to like China, compared to like the rest of Asia, Vietnam. So yeah.
Well, there's also some pretty big outsources in Malaysia. The whole Southeast Asian
Southeast
realm.
Asia.
I have a really good friend. He was in Malaysia for quite a long time running an outsourcing team there, or an external development team. Well, so you must have a pretty big Rolodex, like networking. You brought this up. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about networking.
Sure.
So you've already said that networking is important for you, but like what I'm taking from that is like, you probably wouldn't be as successful if you weren't already a relationship builder. Like basically you are building how long have you been building your network, and how long did it take until you got to like this point right now?
I guess from the start, I mean, even actually not even from the start of like getting to games, like back in 2014, I was into like cosplay, anime, esports. And then like, like in event organizing, you work with different partners, and like some point, I think 2018, 2017, I like, there was someone who came there like, hey, I was still a university student. Like someone from an indie studio was like, hey, we're opening internships, and I needed an internship, and like, wait, you can make games here? So like, okay, I jumped in, and then like, okay, I jumped in there, and then like, we're just one island. I'm in the Philippines, but I'm not in the capital. Okay. I'm in like one island here, and I see different people here, and like, okay, there's people here who do game dev. Okay, time to connect, say hello. We have a small community, and because I my friends make fun of it a lot, especially in the community. They're like, I adopted a community of introverts because like
Okay.
game devs are very introverted. I realize that
Yes.
now because I talk a lot and I apply the same thing from, hey,
So-
if I can do that here, I
Yeah.
can do the
So
same.
you're
Yeah.
like the introvert whisperer. So
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So which is good because it takes all types of different communicators in games to make games. And so like
Exactly.
I think you found a really nice fit for your personality and for what you're doing. Let me know, because like maybe there's some way I can also help with your network and we can, maybe we can work on something together. Another question though, what are you building your visual novel in? Are you building in an engine or is it,
We're building it an engine. We're actually deciding because for me personally, I can code something very fast in RenPy because it's something because I've always
Okay.
been making a visual novel very easily. But
Okay.
we have a programmer now. We have an engineer that builds it in Unity, and
Okay.
we are going back and forth of we want to add mini games. Somebody's working on a mini game, which is better if it's Unity, but
Right.
it's like the back and forth about like we can iterate faster, but the thing is if we iterate faster, is this something good long term with these features?
Right.
Because RenPy is just for visual novels, not really for hidden object. And you can do it, but you can't really like keep plastering on like mini game. So there's like the push and pull.
Right. Well, it's also, so the two important things that come out of that is like, what's your business plan? And by business, I don't mean like how you're going to make money. What I mean is like your team long-term plan, right? Because that's going to influence whether you go RenPy or Unity. The other one is like speed. How important is speed? Because I bet, and this is going to sound like terrible or not terrible, but like it's going to be a lot of work. I bet you could just prototype it really quickly in RenPy and then sort of work out all of the details because like it is relatively fast as far as development goes. And so maybe you prototype everything in RenPy. Don't include the mini games, just like, here, this is stand-in for minigame. This is what I was saying about rapid prototyping. And then you can have your engineer say, okay, I know exactly what you're making. Okay, let me go structure that, right? Because getting to Unity, once again, we're back to like external development.
Yeah.
Clarity in like feature request, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, that's what I would recommend. Do RenPy first. Don't worry about how it looks. Do your art development for Unity, and then do the prototype in RenPy as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly. Because like one thing that just reminds me whenever we talk about that, because our engineer really loves making the systems, but like when I go like, do you want to really rewrite every system that RenPy can provide? Then what if I just use RenPy and just like I would feel bad too because like I see how passionate they are about building the dialogue system and like the sprites and animation.
Sure,
I'm like, yeah.
Most engineers will say yes because mine will be better. So
exactly.
But I would even say if you go to the asset store, there's probably, I mean, I've done this many times. I've gone and found like at least a starter system so that you can get things running in Unity, right? And like, and then there's multiple dialogue tree assets as far everything has pros and cons, but then the other one is like maybe there's some starter ways to get your engineer going to build the core systems while you do the prototype in RenPy, right?
Exactly.
Okay, what's the goal? So here's the thing, is it a creative goal or is it like, hey, I want to sell like whatever 100,000 copies or something like that? Like, of course everybody wants to make a living, but like what's your ultimate goal for your project?
Actually, one thing is we want to really just finish the game. I mean, it's mostly a creative project. If it earns money, great. And the only thing, if the only request you could ask for the money thing is if at least it breaks even. That is the biggest goal.
Okay,
that we're
like it pays
for
for itself. Yeah,
that it pays for itself. But if it doesn't, it's fine as long as we finish it because it's more of like a passion creative project. And
okay. Well, sometimes though, and this is just from experience, when you create that passion project, sometimes it catches enough momentum that you do a sequel or you do something in the same genre. Like, here's my question. After you finish this one, would you want to do another visual novel?
Actually, that depends. We would want to still make another one. It might not even be just a visual novel. Like, it's more like a stepping stone. See how it goes.
But would it still be very narrative driven?
it will be
Okay.
probably very narrative
So
driven.
that's a different way to look at your engineering relationship. If your plan long term is to continue to make narrative driven stuff, then it's maybe worth it to have some time investment in making good narrative tools, right? And so, like, if you do that, because speed and break even are your two factors, if you're not in a hurry, then I say you invest the time with your engineer to, build a great narrative set, whether it's visual novels or whatever in Unity, because then you'll be investing in your own future is what I'm saying, right? So if you're not in a hurry, you're not looking to just hit the market as fast as possible to make to try to make a little bit of money back, then I would say like prototype in RenPy. But then I think when you look at like how you're going to build the systems in Unity, then you can start to look at the long term of like, okay, for this game it's this, but now we have this mini game puzzle system, right? That's very modular or whatever for the future. You can do some really fun stuff if you plan for a longer term, because you can do like, this works for this game, but the next game that we do, maybe it's not a visual novel, maybe it's more like a third person narrative game or something, right? And so like those pieces can build on top of each other. If you were just going to do one game, I would be like, screw it, just put it in RenPy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was the last game what we wanted to do. No,
Yeah.
the amount of battles I have to go like, hey, that's a cool system. Let's add it in. I think let's add it in the next game. And like, I was like, knock on wood. Like, when's the next game happening?
Right. Well, plus you never know. There are other ways to monetize. If you start to build some really fun visual novel tool sets, you can also put those on the asset store and try to make those available for other people, right?
Exactly.
Which is why I think one of the most powerful things about Unity is the asset store. It's so amazing. My only problem is really hard to find anything sometimes, and doing the comparison is a lot of work as well, where you're like, oh, I've got these two differing systems. They have different like engineering philosophies behind them. I don't know which one's better for me. And it's hard sometimes. It's very time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like, I think when I took a look at Unreal, I think it used to be like the Unreal marketplace and turned to Fab, and like a lot of things like look very different. But I'm like, it's like,
yeah, well, Fab is interesting too. Like Unreal, the only thing is the skill barrier to get into Unreal is so much higher.
Yeah, so much higher.
Mainly because like there's so many subsystems and dependencies, for any singular asset, that it becomes very difficult to make something extremely simple, right? And like a visual novel, I think you can do it in Unreal. It's just, it comes with so much boilerplate that's like,
it's like I'm using like a saw to like I don't know, to cut like a twig or something. Like Like it's like, I feel like it's kind of an overkill system for a 2D like visual novel when like there's Unity. I mean, it's like layers from RenPy to Unity to Unreal. Like, unless it's like a 3D, I'm trying to do something crazy, a 3D visual novel or something.
Right. Well, have you played around with some of the other engines out there, like Game Maker or Construct or like?
I mean, I played RPG Maker before. I tried Godot RPG
Godot,
Maker.
Yeah. Because Godot might be a way to go as well. Anyway, I don't want to make your engine decision here on the call. It's basically, I'm just trying to give you things to consider, right? Because if you're going to make more than one game, then your engine and feature discussion has become so much more important. Like you should be looking at like, okay, change my planning from building one game, right? And you've taken speed off the table to like, hey, let's do 3. Right. So how would I plan this out to make 3 games, get very specific in your design and your production? Wait, so are you and the artist functioning as the game designer?
Yeah, well, mostly on my side. It's like she's on the hidden object side. I am on the narrative side because I do the writing, the stories. Okay,
got it. So you're doing like the narrative design, and then you've got an engineer, so you got your systems. Okay, like you can wear all of that, but the thing that you might need to check in on is you might need somebody to wear the producer hat once in a while so that you can stay in the narrative design place, right? Because it's very difficult to switch hats because your designer and producer should always be conflicting.
Like separate sides. That's something that like it's like I like especially when I write the narrative and the text and the dialogue, then like my producer hat comes in like, will people actually read through this text that I just wrote like 10 minutes ago? Like,
Yeah, it's super hard. So one of the things, like, I've been doing this for so long that I can switch back and forth, but I tell people when I meet like when I start a project and I meet the producers, I go, like, I get it out of the way right away. I say, your job is to tell me no. If I know that you are making great decisions about what I can and can't have from a production standpoint, then that makes me more creative, because then I don't have to worry about, is this effective or not from a project standpoint. I can actually be more free because I have somebody there to say like, oh, this is too far, or oh, this is too big, or whatever. And so like it saves my brain like 30% capacity because I'm not production checking all of my work, right?
yeah, no, actually, to share, even there was one project that we're working on an IP, and like, right, because even before joining like the project, being like I came then as a producer, it was the one that was working on it was the game designer, like a different person, a game designer, and then like it was a kids game, and like they started writing like dialogue and text, and like I was holding back so much to add like, I think you need to make the line smaller. You need to do this because, like, at that point, I'm not being a producer. I'm like, I'm a wannabe narrative designer trying to design it myself. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I think, though, the production angle for that specific situation is actually saying, here's our target audience. Here's some feedback. Like, I think you're not writing to the target audience because, writing a kid's game is totally different than writing like for teenagers or even young, adults or like graybeards like me, right? Yep. Like, but I had to tell you, the older I get, the more I appreciate language to be much simpler, because like sometimes people write things that's very complex.
I look back at my old text, like, did I really need to add words that were 10 plus letters? Or I could just like, hey, just pass the item. That's what it all does. Don't they like effortlessly pushes the boulder towards the player? Like,
right.
Why would I write this?
Well, sometimes it's good flavor, and sometimes but being able to pick your battles there. All right. Yeah. So, do you have a budget in mind for this or no?
Yeah. No, actually, the part where we would actually get, because we look at the project in ways where if we don't get funding, we just want to finish the game. But if somehow, because there's like publisher friends that always like, hey, we might as well pitch. They're here. We pitch, and then if somebody goes into it, that's when we're like, we need to get like, depending on how much budget we get to secure, we need to like hit timings, right? So once there's a deadline set, that's when like, we need external development at this point if we want timing.
Well, once you get a publisher involved, then everything is on schedule.
Yeah, everything's on schedule. Everything, the whole thing changes from like, from, hey, the time we take our time to now we have a time that we're chasing.
Right. It's a very different style of development. Your priority of how you build things switches from quality number one to quality like second or third, because it's time, right? Like time finishing.
Timing, or like, hey, we need to have the game by December because Christmas, or like, Black Friday on November. So,
right. So, I have another friend. He works in the visual novel sort of genre a lot. Let me see. I'm going to have him as a guest on the show too at some point. Sure. But we could talk off camera about like, wait, do you have a publisher pitch yet?
I have a pitch deck. But it's something that needs to be like finished and like,
okay. Finish the pitch deck and send it to me, and I'll give you feedback.
All right.
Deal. And that's actually that's a perfect place to end because we're out of time. But like, basically, just to recap, external development requires strong communication skills, clarity of design, and empathy for both the people doing the work and the people that are requesting the work. And so, as a great way for you and I to continue to get to know each other, I'm asking that you involve me a little bit more in your project just so that I can help guide you along. And then, maybe I got some hookups. Like I've got a Rolodex too. Like I can be like, oh, here, let me share this with blah, blah, blah. And like, we'll go from there. Awesome. Well, thank you, Janyl. This has been a fun time. Definitely send me your pitch deck and we'll talk about it off camera. Brain Arcade is a Princess Hermit production, produced by Kyrene Kim, music and mixing by Jonathan Ontiveros. The podcast is hosted by me, Chris Cross. You can find me and my other endeavors at coffeeacross.com.
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.
Electricast. Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your host for the Candle Power Hour.